Hi fairies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Fifi. It's so nice to have you here. I hope you stay a while. Today we are going to be doing something quite fun, quite interesting. I've been thinking about how I want to do my wrap up for the year. You know, I read 51 books in the year of 2024 and I wanted to find a way to talk about it without actually talking about it, because honestly I don't really love talking about books too much, because sometimes I go out of the point, I start to give spoilers, I start to forget what I even read, and I just thought this would be a really nice, fun, cute, interesting way to talk about these books and express my feelings for these books without giving too much. So yeah, first of all, I thought I would show you guys my Goodreads, wrap up for the year, because I found it quite interesting. So in the year 2024, I read 17,712 pages, which is quite a lot in my opinion. Very proud of myself for that. Like I said, I also read 51 books. Crazy, did not expect that. The shortest book I read was The Bookstore Sisters, that was 36 pages, and then the longest book was Angels and Demons by Dan Brown, 736 pages, so 700 more pages. That's crazy. My average book length was 347 pages. Okay, most shelved book was Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. 7 million people shelved this book, and my least shelved book was Postcards from Buenos Aires, and only 5 people shelved this book. My average rating for the year was 3.8 stars, which is, makes sense, because I wasn't really giving out too many 5 stars, even 4 stars. I was very strict about it, and yeah, that makes very much a lot of sense. The highest rated book that I read on Goodreads was Viola Davis' Finding Me, 4.5 stars, which is crazy. The first book and first review of the year was Postcards from Buenos Aires, and I gave it 3.5 stars. And the last book and last review of the year, One More for Christmas by Sarah Morgan, I gave it 3.75 stars. And yeah, that was my Goodreads wrap up. We're going to go now into the tier ranking. I'll give you a little explanation of my thought process with these tiers. From the bottom to the top, first we have Burn It. This is kind of straightforward. A book that was just not good whatsoever. I should have DNF'd it. I shouldn't have even read it in the first place. I should have just stayed curious, because what the hell was that? Okay, just a bad book in general. And then we have Snooze Fest, a book that was not necessarily the worst thing ever, but boring, forgettable, not very memorable. Like, it had nothing for me to hold on to. It did nothing, absolutely nothing for me. It was bad, but not the worst thing ever. And then we have Mid-Half, straightforward once again, a book that was just there, nothing special, not bad but not good by any means, just an okay book. And then we have Nice But Not Great, straightforward once again, a really nice read, enjoyable for what it was, but not the best thing ever, and not something I necessarily loved. 8 Down, this is simply a book that absolutely ate down. A book that I just loved so much, and I really appreciated, and I loved my reading experience. I loved the book in general. It just gave everything it was supposed to give. And finally, at the very top, we have Coffin Body. Okay, I was trying to be funny, don't mind me, but this is basically a book that I want to be buried with. Like, when I die, this is my best friend while I'm in the coffin. Okay, this book I will be sharing space with in the grave. Just a very, very good book, a book that I will carry with me forever, even into the afterlife. So yeah, those are the tiers. We're going to go right into it. The first book, Postcards from Buenos Aires. This was an okay book. It was actually a 3-in-1 book from 3 different authors, and all the books were basically the same thing. People falling in love that they not expect to fall in love. They were just okay for what it was, nothing special by any means. I think I'm going to go with Mid-Half, because it was good. It was just not, it was just there, to be honest. Then I read The Alchemist. This was a very interesting book for me, because I thought it was good for what it was, but it wasn't the most spectacular thing ever. It wasn't as great as some people say that it is. I liked how introspective and philosophical it was, but it wasn't my favorite thing in the world. So I think I'm going to go with Nice But Not Great. Beach Read by Amy Henry. This was my second ever Amy Henry book, and I actually really enjoyed this one. The plot was really good. I liked and enjoyed the characters. This is actually the book that I want to see on screen. Like, I don't know why they are doing People We Meet on Vacation. I don't know why that was the choice that they made. Even Happy Place would have been a much better option in my opinion. But yeah, genuinely enjoyed Beach Read. I even cried a little bit at the ending. I thought it was very cute and sweet. I'm going to put it at nice but not great because it's not something I think about very often. It was just a nice book, but it wasn't my favorite thing ever. And then I read Bookstore Sisters. This is a short story of two sisters that were estranged but now have to kind of bring back this bookstore that was in their family for a while and bring it back to life, and obviously in the process they fix and mend their own relationship, amongst other things that do happen in the book. It just felt very rushed, obviously, because it was short story, like 36 pages, I'm pretty sure. Nothing really happened, to be honest. It was just there. It was okay for what it was, and was a nice little palate cleanser, I guess, but it wasn't that great. Actually, kind of a snooze fest, if I'm being honest. Yeah, it was quite boring. Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This was a really nice book. I really enjoyed it. I do think I would have enjoyed it way more if I didn't watch the series before I read the book. So I basically knew most of what was going to happen, and I didn't really get shocked at things that I probably should have or would have gotten shocked by. The twists did not get me, but I really enjoyed the book. I love Leigh Bardugo's writing. I think she's a really nice writer. She's able to convey things pretty straightforwardly, while still being a very nice poetic writer and not being pretentious about it. So I'm going to put this book as nice but not great, because it was in fact not great. Should I put that 8 down? Did he 8 down? I'm trying to remember. I think it's good where it is. And also the next 2 books I'm going to put at nice but not great, because they were really good. They just kind of were underwhelming, probably and most likely because I watched the show first, like I said. But yeah, I thought they were good. They just did not wow me. And then we have Guild by Raven Kennedy. This is a really dark fantasy. There were some troubling things that happened in this book that left me unsettled, but I think it was an okay book for what it was. Not the best writing, not the best plotting. It was quite slow at some points, but yeah, it was okay. I think I'll put it at mid-half, to be honest. Then I read The Girl in the Sea. This is a graphic novel, and I really enjoyed it for what it was. It was nothing special, if I'm being honest. I do think I would have appreciated it more when I was younger, because it was quite juvenile, and I think this is a really nice book for young people that are trying to understand their sexuality, or just young people in general. I think it would be really nice for them. It just wasn't anything spectacular for me, so I think I'm going to put it at mid-half. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This was a really nice book. I enjoyed the characters. I also really liked the plot twist at the ending. It really got me. The writing was also pretty good, yet straightforward. I think I'm going to put that 8 down, or nice but not great. I think it 8 down. Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli. This is literally one of my favorite books ever. Like, I actually finished this book and gave it 4.5 stars because I was like, it was good, but there were some points where it was slow, blah blah blah. I was trying so hard to not make it a 5-star, but I could not stop thinking about it, and I ended up giving it 5 stars in the end because it was just that good. To be honest, I sobbed at the ending because I did not expect it. I don't know, maybe I'm slow, but I just did not expect the ending, and it had me crying my eyes out. So definitely joining me in the coffin. Good Girl, Bad Blood, the second book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. I enjoyed this book. I will say the ending was quite outlandish in my opinion. It was kind of all over the place. I don't think it made too much sense, but the book itself was good. I like how it showcased Pip and just her thought processes and her mental health struggles, especially after the things that happened in the first book. But yeah, I didn't enjoy it as much as the first book, so I'm going to say nice but not great. Then I read Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I enjoyed this book so much. I thought it was just a very nice, trippy experience. Very funny, very cute. It was just a really good book for what it was, to be honest. And I listened to most of it on audiobook, and I loved that audiobook because it was so immersive. The voice actress was so animated, and I just really enjoyed this book. I'm going to put it at 8 down, and I will also put the second book, Alice Through the Looking Glass, at 8 down because I loved both of them. They were just very fun, to be honest. And then I read Macbeth by William Shakespeare and I don't know, I guess I was in the classic mood, and I really did enjoy this book. It was just a nice book showcasing that Karma is indeed a cat and also quite a bitch. Cats are bitches, if I'm being honest. So Yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. Nothing special. I think I'm going to put it as nice but not great, because it didn't really do too much for me, but it was a good read. I mean, it's William Shakespeare. Can't really expect a bad book, can you? Spark of the Everflame by Pen Cole, the first book in the Kindred Scott saga, and I genuinely enjoyed this book. The only thing I would say is that the FMC was quite annoying and just delusional. She was pissing me off, but the MMC, he did it for me. Like, I love him. I was groveling. I hated how annoying she was being and how delusional and how she was pushing him away, because it just pissed me off so bad. And also the ending was quite confusing, but I guess it makes sense for the second book. I enjoyed it, honestly. I really did. I'm going to put that 8 down, because it did in fact 8 down. And then I went on a little Emily Henry binge. I read 3 of her books in a bid to understand the hype. Like, I wanted to fall in love with her and feel the things that so many people feel about her and her books, but it did not quite go as planned. It wasn't bad. Like, I did not find any of the books bad per se, but yeah, it just wasn't what I expected. In my opinion, the hype is just a little too much for what was delivered. Happy Place, I would say, was nice but not great, because it was in fact nice but not great. I did find it very, like, unrealistic, and I did not see any chemistry between the main characters. By the end of this book, the only thing I was thinking is that maybe they actually did break up for a reason, and maybe they should have stayed broken up. And then Funny Story, I thought was quite boring, again unrealistic. The main character Miles was bland as hell. The female main character was just, I don't know, I did not enjoy it. I thought it was boring, but it wasn't the worst thing ever, so I'm going to put it at mid-half, because it was quite mid. People We Meet on Vacation though, snooze fest, because it was just not enjoyable. In my opinion, it was boring. The main characters were very annoying, especially the female main character. She was kind of sexist, if we're actually going to talk about it. I did not like her at all. The male main character, he was also quite bland, and Harry was trying so hard to make us think that he's some kind of intellectual, but he did not seem like that. In my opinion, he did not have any personality, to be honest. He was just there, and yeah, it was not an enjoyable book for me. Even though I gave it 3.5 stars, I just did not enjoy it. Okay, then Heavy is the Crown by Lindsay Chai. This is the first book in the Tracy, I think it's a trilogy, or is it a duology? I don't know, but I really enjoyed this book. I would say it was quite juvenile. Felt a little bit rushed, especially at the end. Things just moved too quickly, but the book in itself was okay. The writing was not the best thing ever. I just thought it was okay, like it was mid, to be honest. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Honestly, I love this book because I just lived for the drama. Everybody was so complex and flawed, and everybody had something going on, and just so many things that were happening, and it was funny, it was fun, it was interesting, and honestly just like watching a reality show of sorts. So I'm going to put it at 8 down, to be honest. Funny Feelings by Tara Dewey. I did not love this book too much. I thought it was a good book. The writing was relatively okay, but I did not like the characters, and I also felt a bit weird about the age gap. It was a 10-year age gap, and the male main character is somebody that was a comedian for a while before he kind of retired or left it because he was going through stuff mentally, and then he started becoming a manager for this new upcoming comedian who was a fan of him, like when she was very young, when she was a minor, and she let him know that, and he was her manager. So there's already this power imbalance, and then they form a relationship. I don't know, I just did not see chemistry. I think they would have been fine as friends. I think their manager-client relationship was just so much better than the actual romantic relationship. But yeah, it wasn't a bad book per se. I think I'm going to place it at mid-half because that was what it was. Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This is another controversial one because I did not like this book. I thought the pop culture references were just overkill. The Taylor Swift mentions. Let's not do that. We're not doing that in 2025. Enough. I also thought the FMC was quite annoying and delusional. The writing was not that good. It was just there, kind of all over the place, if we're being honest. Yeah, honestly, Snooze Fest, no tea, no shade. Then She Was Gone by Lisa Ju. I enjoyed this book for what it was. I do think the characters were not very good, especially the main character. She was quite flawed. The way she treated her children after just one of them went missing, she just completely neglected the remaining 2 children she had, and she tried to make it justified. I just did not enjoy that, and also the ending was so predictable. Literally from the first few chapters you can already tell what happened and what went down. But I did enjoy it for what it was. It was a really nice, quick thriller read, so I'm going to put it at nice but not great. The Dark Half by Stephen King. I really did enjoy this book. I would say the ending was quite underwhelming, and I also would have liked more depth within the characters, but I liked the writing of this book and I liked the plotting. I liked how everything turned out. So honestly, it's down. The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, another book that I did enjoy. I liked the characters of the book, and I would like to see more of this and where this goes, because I know this is like a really long series. I liked the ending. I thought the plot twist was quite interesting. I thought the writing was pretty straightforward. It was good for what it was, so I think I'm going to put it at nice but not great. Betting on You by Lynn Painter, not a good book. The writing was kind of bad. The plotting also quite bad. The characters horrible. Sorry, they just did literally anything they wanted to without any thought of repercussions or any consequences, and that really pissed me off. They were honestly not even compatible in my opinion. There was no chemistry. It was kind of lost based. Even though this is a YA novel, it just felt very weird. The amount of times, you know, the F word was used. I just not enjoyed this book. I thought it was a little too modern and corny modern. So yeah, snooze first. But then for some reason I read Better Than Before, another Lynn Painter book, and this is actually a novella that links Better Than the movies and Betting on You. So basically in this book it shows that main characters from both books are cousins, and they met up one time and talked about these girls that they have feelings for, and it was so unnecessary. It did not make any sense. It did not add anything. The writing was not even good. It was just, honestly, burn it. Like, it did not need to exist whatsoever. No tea, no shade. House of Lies and Sorrow. This was a really interesting read because I did not really enjoy my reading experience. Okay, there were so many typographical errors. The plot was all over the place. The writing was clunky, relatively bad if we're being honest. But then the ending caught me off guard and kind of left me wanting more. So it's like, interesting. It wasn't a good book, but then I want to continue this series. So I'm going to put it as snooze first because nothing really happened in this book until literally the last few chapters. And even then, it was just that it caught me off guard. It wasn't necessarily anything too interesting or deep or special. So then I read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I really liked this book. I love Holly Black's writing. I think it's so like intellectual, so poetic, and just really nice. The plotting of this book was also really good, albeit a bit slow at some points, but it was obviously trying to set up the scene and everything. Chapter 20 really solidified my feelings for this book because so many things happened in that chapter that I did not really expect, and I just like this book in general. To be honest, I think it really ate down. The Lost Sisters, again by Holly Black. This is a novella that comes before the second book in the trilogy, Folk of the Air, and yeah, I did not like that book. I really did not, because it was basically just Taryn from the first book trying to justify her actions. And if you've read The Cruel Prince, you know what I'm talking about. She really fucked her sister over, and then in this book, The Lost Sister, she's trying to make it seem like, oh, she was a victim of her environment, blah blah blah. Like, no, you actively and knowingly did that to your own twin sister. There's no coming back from that. There's no excusing it. Just shut up at this point and stop talking, to be honest, because I don't want to hear it. So I think I'm going to put it at I don't want to put it at burn it, because the writing was good. Holly Black's writing is really good and it will always be good, but the book itself I did not enjoy. So let me just put it at snooze first. And then I read Northern Lights by Philip Pullman, the first book in His Dark Materials trilogy. I really enjoyed this book. It was quite juvenile. I think the main character is like 13 years old or 12 years old. It's in that same space as books like Harry Potter, Perry Jackson, and while it was a really nice and adventurous book, it just did not connect to me because of how juvenile it was and how childish it felt. But I did enjoy the plot. I liked the writing. I thought it was a good book for what it was, so I'm going to put it at nice but not great. Then we have Glow of the Everflame, the second book in the Kindred's Cause saga, and again, this is down, to be honest. I really liked how much more it showed and fleshed out the politics and how more nuances were shown in the female main character and her relationships, and also the crumbs that we were given between the FMC and the MMC. Like, this is such a slow burn, like very slow burn, and every single piece of crumb that fell on the table into my mouth, I reveled in, and I loved it so much. So we have Finding Me by Viola Davis. I don't feel comfortable rating this book, if I'm being honest, especially in this context, because this is so unserious. But yeah, it's just a very sad, albeit hopeful book, but I don't feel right talking about it in this context because it shows and talks about so many things that she had to go through when she was younger to get to where she is now, and most of that is very sad, very dark, very like just unfair that she had to go through all of that. But yeah, I will not be ranking this book. We're going to put it to the side. I do think it was a good book. The writing was a bit all over the place, but I think that was the point, and that was trying to convey how all over the place her life was and how she felt at the time. So we're going to go to The Familiars by Stacey Halls. This was a book that I really did enjoy. In hindsight, it probably was not the best thing ever, but at the time I liked it a lot, and so I think I'm going to put it at 8 down. Then we have Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, a literary fiction. I really enjoyed this book, and when I first started it I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to like this very much because it was very slow at the beginning, kind of boring if I'm being honest. But then as you know, it continued to go on, and as we got into the meat of the book, I just connected to the character Eleanor in such a way that I did not expect, and by the end of the book I was crying. I just felt so much for her, and I honestly just loved it. I gave it 5 stars, and I think about it a lot, so definitely joining me in the grave. Same Time Next Summer by Annabelle Monaghan. I've heard so much about Annabelle Monaghan, and I wanted to read this book because I know it was a short, nice book. I needed a little bit of a palate cleanser, and I thought this would be a good book because people hype her up so much. She's a really nice author. Her writing is so good, but not in your face. She's not a nice author, at least from this book. My personal opinion is that she's not a nice author. The writing was all over the place, so freaking clunky. There were also typographical errors, so like, what's up with that? The characters, especially the male main character, horrible, hated him. Female main character, stupid, delusional. I just don't like this book, to be honest. I think it's going to go to burn it because I could have lived my entire life without knowing that book existed. So then we have Becoming Lucy. This is a Christian romance, and I really did enjoy it, especially the fact that it did not have any spice. So I guess there was more to hold on to. A lot of Christian propaganda, and especially because it's also a historical romance of sorts. Things that are outdated. I enjoyed it for what it was, to be honest. It was just there, quite mid, but not bad. This Is How You Lose the Time More. This book I really did not enjoy, honestly. I thought it was so boring, so confusing. I did not know anything that was happening, and maybe it's because I am slow or something, not very bright. But yeah, it was very much a snooze fest. Flowers in the Attic. This book is a very disturbing book, so make sure you know before you get into it. Personally, I really enjoyed it for what it was. It was very disturbing, and there were some points where I had to take little breathers because I just could not deal with what I was reading. Like, it was just unsettling as hell. So make sure you know before you read this book, there are instances of incest. So that's all I'll say. I did enjoy it for what it was. Honestly, I'm putting it at 8 down because the writing did in fact 8 down. The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I love this book. I enjoyed it so much. I thought the writing was really good. The characters were really nice and complex, very interesting. It was a bit slow at various points, but once again, it is a literary fiction, so what do you expect? Actually, it's a mystery fiction, and it follows these 80-year-olds in a reservation of sorts, or a, what do you call it, like an old people home, I guess, and somebody gets murdered, and now they are trying to figure out who did it. Like, it's just a very nice book, honestly, and I like the mystery aspect of it. The ending was, you know, shocking, but not the most shocking thing ever, but it got me, and I thought it was cute and sweet. And yeah, it's down. Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. When you first finish this book, you're like, oh my god, that was so crazy, because the ending is quite crazy and the plot twist really catches you off guard, and it's just something you don't expect. So you're thinking, wow, that was such an amazing book, like plot twist crazy. But the book itself, when you take the time to think, and when that has all died down, the hype of the plot twist has died down, and you're reading from it, you recognize that the book itself is not that good. The writing is not very good. There were also typographical errors. The plotting was kind of all over the place, fast at some points, slow at some points, redundant. Yeah, it was just there. Not the best thing ever, but it was nice. It was a really nice, enjoyable read, very quick. I'm going to put it at nice but not great. Then I read Angels and Demons by Dan Brown. I actually wanted to read Da Vinci Code, but then I realized that that is not like a standalone book. It's actually a series, and it's not even the first book in the series. So then I read this book first, and I really did enjoy it. Like, it took me by surprise. I thought it was going to be okay. I didn't really have any thoughts or opinions or expectations for it, but like, it really shocked me because it felt like a history lesson without feeling like a history lesson. I really just enjoyed the plot and how things, came together. I will say the ending was quite outlandish, but it was a good book. I really did enjoy it, and I gave it 5 stars. But I don't think it's one I will be carrying with me for a very long time, so I'm going to put it at 8 down, because it did 8 down. Okay, The Wicked King by Holly Black, the second book in the Folk of the Air trilogy. I did enjoy this book. I do think it was not as good as the first one because it was quite slow at many points. I don't understand why it was that way because of the things that happened in the first book, but I just expected more, and there was nothing shocking, there was nothing gripping about this book. It was just okay. So I'm going to put it at nice but not great. Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I really enjoyed this book. I loved the characters, how diverse, how complex, how flawed they all are. It was just so real. Obviously, like I said, I watched Shadow and Bone show before reading these Leigh Bardugo books, and the Shadow and Bone show is kind of a mixture of Six of Crows and Shadow and Bone. So I was already introduced to some of the characters in Six of Crows, but the things that happened are actually quite different, and so I really did enjoy it. It was a bit slow at the beginning, obviously because things are being set up, but I did genuinely enjoy it. So I'm going to put it at 8 down because that was case. Cradle and All by James Patterson, my first ever James Patterson book, and to be honest, this book was just made, like, it was just there. It was very quick, very easy, straightforward, and okay read, but nothing to hold on to, and honestly it was a bit just outlandish. Like, it was all over the place. Like, I understand plot twists and I do love plot twists, but it gets to a point where it's like, this isn't just a plot twist anymore, this is you just pulling shit out of your ass. Like, where did this come from and why is this necessary? Like, let's not do that. And that's also the way I felt for Metal Stinger, especially for Metal Stinger, because it was just like, how did we, like, there was nothing you even did to set this plot twist up. It's just very convenient for you to have such a plot twist to, get people talking and stuff like that. But I'm interested in seeing how she expands on that in the second book, because this is a duology, and apparently the second book comes out this year, hopefully. So yeah, and then we have Scattered Bones by, I don't know, I honestly don't know who this author is, but I saw one singular TikTok about this book, and that person was raving about the book, saying how it's such a good, like, you would think it was like a second Bible of sorts, the way she talked and spoke highly of this book, but then it fell very flat. Like, it did not give what it was supposed to give at all. At the beginning I was like, oh my god, this writing is so good, so poetic, like, this writer is so good, but then it got very redundant, it got very all over the place, clunky, disjointed. The plot was just so repetitive. It was just this woman doing these trials over and over again, trying to find her husband's scattered bones across the world, and it's so unrealistic too, because this person has literally never been outside of this temple for the entirety of her life, 21 years, and all of a sudden she's able to fight monsters, go to the depths of the earth, like the seas and the oceans, and retrieve these bones and fight flames and fight gods. And like, how is that even possible? I just don't think it is. It was just very unrealistic to me, and the writing did not make it better. So honestly, snooze fest. And then we have Caraval. Honestly, I really enjoyed this book. I did give it 3.75 stars because there were typographical errors, and also the writing was a bit pretentious, just a bit. But I did enjoy the plot. I liked the characters. I thought it was quite interesting. It was very fantastical, and I do enjoy that, as we have seen. It reminded me of like Alice in Wonderland, that just trippy experience of like not knowing what is real and what is not. I did enjoy it, so I'm going to put it at nice but not great, because it was good, but it just wasn't the best thing ever. Then I read my favorite book of the year. This was like the easiest 5-star ever, and from literally maybe 20% of this book I was like, this is definitely a 5-star. And I'm so happy that I read this book. I ended up crying when this book finished, because the ending, how could you do this? Like, how could that have happened? All I will say, justice for Camilla, because nobody was as good as Camilla, and she did not deserve any of it. That's all I'll say. Okay, I just love this book so much. I love the writing. I love how she was able to make it interview style without, you know, being pretentious or without it being extra, and yet she was able to show, you know, her skills as a writer. I just thought it was so good. I loved everything about this book. People are coming out nowadays to say that the book is not that good. I don't want to hear it. I really don't. Okay, I personally loved it, and it will be joining me in the afterlife. The last 2 books I read were Christmas books, and the only Christmas books I read this December. The first book was One Day in December, and yeah, this one was very disappointing. This is one of the most talked about Christmas books ever, and I expected so much more, but it really let me down. The writing, once again, not that good. Plotting, not that good. I really hated the main characters. I thought they were so annoying, especially the male main character. Like, I hate him so much. Like, how I just did not see the chemistry. I did not see the point. It was quite stupid. There's like cheating, and yeah, it just did not bode well with me and my soul at all. So honestly, should I say burn it? I think I should say burn it. Okay, let's just snooze first, because it wasn't the worst thing ever. It just wasn't. It wasn't at all good by any means. But then I read a much better Christmas book, One More for Christmas by Sarah Morgan. I've heard so much about Sarah Morgan. I'm pretty sure she mostly writes Christmas books. I really did enjoy this one, because it felt more like a women's fiction or a chick lit of sorts. And yeah, it's basically about this woman who is like a business mogul and just very iconic, and somebody that a lot of women look up to, because she's very successful and has cemented herself in the whole entrepreneur space, but at the cost of her relationship with her 2 daughters, who she then becomes estranged with. And then all of a sudden one day something happens, and she has a bit of an epiphany and realization, and she tries to now mend her relationship with her daughters. And usually her daughters spend Christmas together, away from her obviously, but this time she proposes that they spend Christmas with each other, the 3 of them and their families. And obviously it's not quite the most enjoyable thing for any of them, but at the end of the day it works out. So yeah, I really did enjoy it. I thought it was quite nice. The writing was really good, like better than I expected, and the plot also really good. I even got emotional at the ending. So I'm going to put it as nice but not great, because that is what it was. It was really nice but nothing too special. So yeah, those are all the books that I read in the year 2024. 51 books done and dusted. Let me know if you read any of these books, what your thoughts are about them. If you share any opinions as me, or if you have different opinions, don't be too angry if I list any of your favorite books. It's my opinion. It's my opinion. Yeah, just let me know your thoughts in the comments. I love reading and replying comments. It's one of my favorite pastimes, and I'm so grateful for you watching this video, especially to the end. It really means the world to me. Thank you guys so much for the love throughout the year 2024. I can't wait for what 2025 has in store. Can't wait to post more videos, especially bookish videos. Yeah, my reading goal for the year 2024 is 100 books, so pray for me. I don't know how that's going to go. I'm going to try to not be too disappointed if I don't reach it, but I really want to. So keep me in your prayers. Okay, let me know your reading goal this year down in the comments. Thank you so much once again for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and also follow me on Instagram if you want to be book besties or just besties in general. But for now, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.